Right, the time has come. I'm going to do it. I'm stepping into the commitment of recording an album. So let me explain how I've got to this point, right? This point in my life where it feels like I've got to do it. I've just got to step in and make that commitment to birthing a sound and birthing a project that feels like it means a lot to me. And the reason it means a lot to me is because it's been something that I've felt within since quite a young age, right? But it's been something that I've not really entertained for different reasons that I can get into over the course of this process of actually recording this album. But the main thing is this commitment of actually stepping into it and accepting that the time's now for me to do it. I can feel it. And this urge or this feeling that there's an album within me or music within me for me to explore has never really left me, yet it always comes back around, right? I've spent my life making music from a very, very young age, and I go off and I explore different projects and I've done different things, yet every now and then this feeling comes back, this inner knowing comes back of this task or this quest to jump into what it would be like for me to make an album that's all me, right? Writing the songs, writing the music, writing the lyrics, and recording it all, mixing it all, mastering it all. And having that project that's really me, you know, like laying everything on the line in more of a vulnerable way, in a raw way. And this is probably why I haven't committed to it previously, right? My comfort zone keeps me from, or has kept me from, jumping into this sort of project. Yeah, as I said, it's a feeling and a knowing that keeps coming back over the years, right? I've got songs and stuff that I've written over the years, and a lot of them I've left just after one session, right? Like in the demo format. And I leave them there. Maybe my family and friends know that they exist, but outside of that, I've never shared it. And those that have followed my music journey up until now in my other projects wouldn't even know that I do this, right? They probably wouldn't even know that I play instruments and everything else because I've been releasing electronic music, and I love that. However, this sound that's me writing songs and on the instruments and recording them feels a bit more raw, it feels a bit more honest, it feels a bit more vulnerable. And on this channel so far, I keep speaking about staying true, staying authentic, and that we've all got something to give, right? And also staying out of judgment of that and just creating for the fun of it, listening to that inner voice inside and running with that, right? Just for the fulfillment that brings, rather than the satisfaction from even releasing or feedback and everything else, but staying in it for the right reasons. And I suppose this is probably why now also feels like the right time to do it. I think also with age as well, right? Growing up a bit and knowing who I am more these days than maybe when I did 10 years ago, it kind of makes sense that I'm ready to dive into a project like this. That feeling just keeps coming back around, and it's time for me not to ignore it and to dive fully into it. Living the life of a creative and keep exploring my love for music, I feel I can document and share what I learn and what I go through making music each day and finding my sound. And especially at this moment that I'm at now of committing to a project like I am, of recording an album where I'm writing the music, writing the lyrics, singing, playing, recording, mixing, writing, and sharing that process, you know, because it's bound to have some hurdles and barriers to overcome. And also the love and the joy that's there to be had along a journey like this, right? And I experience it every day anyway of enjoying my love for music, but I know, as I said, this project and this task I'm setting myself is definitely more vulnerable and raw, so that in itself is going to bring up its own challenges, right, of showing where my weaknesses are, not only skill wise and musically, but also as a character, right? The things it takes to overcome these parts of ourselves to actually fully step into committing to something that does feel honest but also raw and vulnerable. Come along for the journey. I'm going to show you the ins and outs and the joys and also the hurdles that come for me as not only a creative and navigating myself and my character and what I learn along the way, but also this new project of stepping into recording an album. It's easy to get carried away with making the actual music side of things, but as I said, that's quite a easy part of the process for me. So it's important, or just recognizing that it's at a good point for me to start working on some vocals and especially finding some sort of melody, something that's catchy. I was up quite late last night. I kept going to bed and I was laying there in bed and I kept getting ideas for lyrics and stuff, and I was up writing them in my notes. So I've got some things of a topic that I want to talk about. And earlier on, when I first had the guitar chords, I had it going around quite well in my mind of how to sing it. But since adding more elements to it, I started singing it in a different way. So that's why I think it's good just to go back to basics, strip it back, and just sit with the vocal side of things, sit with the lyrics, write some words. That's what I'm going to do now. I've got the guitar, and I've also got the music that I've made just on a loop, like a 5-minute loop at the moment, for me to just get it in my head and keep sitting with it. It's funny, a lot of my mates are good vocalists and good at writing lyrics, right? They're good rappers and everything else, so they're used to writing lyrics. But we have nights in here with just the music on loop, the same song. Normally it's one of mine or one of our other mates that have made it, and I normally just sit there listening to the track on loop whilst they're writing lyrics and practicing writing lyrics and practicing. And my part's done at that point in the process, right? It's now over to them to write the lyrics. So now I'm stepping into that, and it's also for me to write the lyrics. It's been interesting, stepping into this. My another friend of mine's going away for some time. He's not sure how long he's going to be away for, and he popped in last night unexpectedly and gave me some art pieces. That he's a very good artist. He's a deep guy. It gets me thinking in a certain way, which I really admire. He's very creative, very talented man, and It's funny that on the week that I decide to commit and accept that, right, I'm doing this album, right, or at least committing to working on this music every day of this new sound that I've yet to put out there and yet to explore to the depths, like I have other sounds. And then he dropped round a 12-string guitar, which is really exciting. And that guitar itself, it's literally sitting behind the camera over there in its case. But yeah, the guitar's got a story to it, that's for sure. It's got character in it. It's been through a lot, and it's been repaired, and now it's over here. So it's kind of like divine timing, when I know that I'm stepping into recording more and more music on the instruments and everything else, and now it feels like I've been perfectly gifted a 12-string guitar to look after. So I'm sure that's going to make its way onto some tracks, because it's beautiful and rich in sound. So that's a beautiful thing to have come to me at this time. He also gifted me this book, a handmade notepad, which is very on point as well. Again, rough and ready. It's beautiful. It's got a lot of character in itself because it's handmade. It's not. Yeah, it's lovely. Some very nice gifts. I'm wondering what to do with this. It's not got lines in it like my other notepads that I normally write in each day. But this one feels special. It feels like if I was to go on some travels, it's a nice size to throw in your pocket and be able to write some notes down. Or it might become a songbook, I'm not too sure. But yeah, what a beautiful gift. And a 12-string guitar, I mean, come on. It's perfect timing, it really, really is. Whistles bright through the bedroom window of a man who's sleeping with his riddle finger on his eyes. Through the bedroom window, his middle finger on his eyes, open bright in the stillness of the night. It lingers. I got some words and I got a melody of some sort, so I'm going to spend some time giving that a go, recording it and seeing how we go, seeing what comes. Bit of a different track, a little bit more rocky, which is quite cool. I'm going to see how it goes, but as I said, musically, just the foundations there, drums, bass, guitar, so everything needs fine tuning. And I'm going to have a draft now of recording the lyrics. I'm going to give the lyrics a go. I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying this part of the process of everything being so fresh and writing songs in a different way. That's the truth of it. I'm really enjoying writing songs in a different way, going back to basics. And with music, and especially the music I've been making, it's very easy to find yourself in some sort of rhythm where it can become very easy just to create a song because you've got your go-tos, you've got your ways of doing things, and you just change it and you get different results. But really the approach is the same, that comfort zone is the same of producing a song. So doing this is great because I'm approaching things differently, right? And the other thing I recognise is when I recognise it from the early dance music I was making as well, when you don't really know what you're doing, it really pushes creativity, and you end up, because you're exploring, finding your ways of doing things, you end up creating some things that maybe you wouldn't do if you're approaching something in another way. You know, when you know what you're doing, you don't explore as much, I find. You know, and it's good to be at that back to basics side of things when you're just exploring and finding your ways of doing things. And for me right now, writing songs is that all over. You know, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun and exploring it, and through that comes a lot of creativity and some wackiness, right, that can be lost when you know what you're doing and you've done it 100 times before. I listened back to the early dance music I was making, and I can tell how much I was really experimenting. It was through not knowing what I was doing, I was experimenting that much, but it can lead to some really good results. So that's something to bear in mind, you know. Change your approach and limit yourself as well in some ways, because when you don't know what you're doing, or you have to approach it in a certain way, and that births creativity, that births you exploring and coming up with new things. So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to record some vocals now, just do a draft take, so when I return to this song another day, I've got something there to see how it sounds. The power of fresh ears, things normally jump out and it either sounds good or you're left feeling like that. That's not the spot at all. So yeah, the power of fresh ears shows a lot, right? It shows a lot to you either left impressed and happy with how you left it, or with those fresh ears you can hear where the flaws are, where the faults are, and that normally gives you a bit of direction to where to go from there. When you're in it, you know, it can be hard, so you can lose perspective on exactly what it is that you're where you're at with it, right? Because you listen to something on loop, or yeah, you're just submersed in it, so you can lose perspective, I've noticed. Yet when you come back with fresh ears, you can really hear it for what it is, you know. When your brain's had that break from it, things jump out that either need some work or that aren't working, or in the best case are working really well, and that's the aim, all right? Right, I'm ending this day of music and recording. Today I continued on from like that bass and drums and guitar idea that I had, but it's not working. I'll return to it another day, but it's one of those moments where I think it's best me moving on to another idea, recording something from scratch again. I've got the drums there that are sounding good, but I just think I want to be recording something in a different key and jumping onto something a bit of a different vibe. Started sounding like another band that I know, and they're a great band, don't get me wrong, but the progression itself and the music itself was a bit of a different direction. But this is all part of it, right? This is the pleasure of just recording and keeping recording, and that's what I've got to be doing, is just keep recording, and the special ones shine through. And it's normally the way, right? I've worked on 3 tracks this week, and a couple of them, if not all of them, will probably end up on this album, and they flew out of me, right? And this one didn't. And that's fine, you know, that's what it's all about. So tomorrow, or when I return, we'll be working with those drums but recording something different. And do you know what I'm going to do as well? I'm going to write the words, write the hook, the melody in its most basic form before I get carried away with the actual music making. It's all part of it. This song probably will come to life. It just wasn't meant to be today. That's all good. The sound that I have in mind, it being instruments and everything else, it's a sound that would sound like it's played by a band, right? And it's in many ways would feel easier if I was in a band and could write music with a band and record it that way, because that's the sound, right? It's music that sounds like it's played by a band. The truth is, though, I'm on my own with it and don't yet have a band. So as much as that maybe has been one thing that I've overthought and maybe has also kept me back, rather than just as a character thing of holding myself back and not fully stepping into it, getting out of my comfort zone. It's also been the fact that I've imagined this sound being played with a band. That's the end vision, you know, what I have in mind. So creating music that sounds like it's being played by a band, but it's me recording it layer by layer on guitars, on drums. I'm not a master of any of these instruments, by the way. I'm not even a master at producing, right? These are skills and stuff that you can spend your life learning. I have a lot of fun with it, and I have my ways of doing it. So guitar is my main instrument. I'm more confident on guitar, but as a drummer and everything else, and bass player and pianist and even a producer, right? I have my ways of doing things, yet I'm still very limited in that. But that's part of the fun, right? And part of the challenge of this project is getting by with the way that I do things, right? And it kind of lends itself to the sound that I like anyway. The sounds and the music I go off and listen to is quite live, and it is also quite rough and ready. So that is a positive. It lends itself to the sound that I want to make. So that's not a problem. But that's also another hurdle, right? That's probably stopped me from stepping into this. Is like that excuse side of me of thinking, yeah, but how's that look? You know, me creating a sound that sounds like it's being played by a band. when I'm doing it on my own. I'm in this a room that I absolutely love, and as I said, I've spent all my creative hours in here for the last 5 years, so I've got my ways of doing things, and it's perfect. It's more than I need to enjoy making music. I'm blessed in that sense, but also the reality of it is I am in this little room trying to create an album, right, with the equipment that I've got, and that's going to be part of the challenge as well. You know, that end, achieving that sound that sounds like it's played by a band is going to be part of the task that I'm overcoming here or working with. I've actually already made 2 tracks, right? Kind of in a way 3 tracks. Quickly wrote a song 10 minutes long, and I recorded it in video format. It's actually on my Patreon if you want to check it out. I've released like a live demo of it, early access, for those that want to support the project further, but also hear the music in its early form, as well as some other things I'm going to be sharing over there, more behind the scenes, more insights, more tips and things that I'm learning and going through on this journey. But let's say the last 4 days I've written 3 songs, right, and recorded 3 songs. One of them's more rough than others, but I feel like I actually achieved the sound that I want. I kind of wish I'd recorded the process of them as well, you know, because I've had some great days enjoying writing these songs, and I'd also know that there are possibly 3 that will make it onto this album.